Welcome to the Adult Algorithm Podcast, the How to Adult podcast.
First of all, if you don't have a planner, get one.
I don't know
This
how
ain't
you,
high school.
I don't know how you survive.
There will be no sugarcoating whatsoever.
This is the hashtag No Sugarcoating podcast.
And I'm your host, Jasmine Johnson.
You're like the best influence and the worst influence all in one.
Are you ready to grow into your potential? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Adult Algorithm, the How to Adult podcast with your host, Jasmine Johnson. Hi, welcome to episode 35. I can't believe we are already here, another milestone. I feel like every 5 I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. I apologize if you're watching the video, why it's dark, my ring light broke, we're getting a new one. She was a little bit old, so that's a-okay. I'm very excited you all could join us for today's episode, for the second episode of our Negatives Month. Today we are talking all about mental health, something that's very important, something we've also covered in the past. However, now we're kind of taking a deeper dive into it and really what the effects are of mental health on your life and the negative effects and how you can overcome those. So I'm so excited for today's episode. I invite my friend Bryan on, who has also been on before. It's the second episode. Very excited. I'm also so excited for today's small business highlight of the week. Get ready to get your credit cards out. You are going to want to buy all of these beautiful women stuff after this highlight. So let's jump right into it. Enchanted Earth Creations is a small business created in Rhode Island by a queer couple who are both passionate about art, spirituality, and social justice. At their shop, you'll find handcrafted treasures inspired by nature and all things mystical. All of their jewelry is handmade with authentic crystal stones and beads, and every piece is charged and cleansed with positive energy. To stay up to date on upcoming shows, sales, and more, follow them on Instagram at Enchanted Earthlings or browse their collection on Etsy at Enchanted Earthlings 33. They'll make all of your cottagecore dreams come true. Now let's get right into the episode.
Hi, my name's Bryan Lavoie, and I'm 21 years old, and I'm from Warwick, Rhode Island.
Gang. We'd love to see it. This is your second time on.
Second time.
Almost 30 episodes later, we just said, right?
No.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. Well,
Welcome back.
yeah, no.
Okay. Today you are on to talk about mental health. Thank you very much for coming on to talk about this topic. It is a very vulnerable topic for some people.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking the time to educate us and answer some questions that we got on Insta.
Yeah, of course.
Let's start off with your story and your journey through your mental health struggles. Anything you'd like to tell us? When did it start and how's it going?
Yeah, so honestly, I felt as if for a really long time I had a pretty good life. I didn't have any problems. I came out as gay at a really young age. I came out when I was 12. And my parents were super supportive, my friends, my family, everybody. I didn't get anything for it. So I honestly am truly so grateful for that and so lucky to have had that. Yeah, but it didn't really all start for me. I obviously had my own insecurities, my own anxieties, but it didn't all start for me until I had landed myself in a toxic relationship. So I was in a really toxic relationship for about 3 years on and off. And it was just a situation that really put me down. It made me feel really worthless. And after it, I was not the same person. I mean, I was upset like every day. You're with someone every day who puts you down literally day in and day out and just makes you feel like you're not worth something. It puts a toll on you. And so after that, I was out all the time with my friends. We were partying, I was up all night, and then I worked all day, and it was just, I wasn't in a good mindset. Eventually I ended up bringing myself to Butler to get help for it because I felt like I was just not getting any better. It was like every day I was like, this sucks. Like I genuinely was like, this sucks. And I'm tired. Like I'm exhausted of putting up with this. And I was like, once I got to that point and I was like telling myself that I was exhausted, like I was tired from just being upset. I was like, I can't, like I need to find help. So then I went to Butler and I got help and I was there for a week and that was back in November, and now we're in July and I'm doing a lot better. So
That is amazing.
yeah.
And the fact that you even had the strength to go to Butler and get help for yourself already in itself
Yeah.
is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people can't that's like the hardest part is
Mhm.
like pulling yourself out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And like throughout those years, it's definitely hard to even look at the positive side of things.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, like what made you even motivated to get up in the morning?
I think okay, so my thing is like what pushed me through everything was I always, and I know this isn't how it is for everybody. I know everybody's different, but I always just told myself, like I met this person that I dated when I was 17 years old. I was 17.
Wow.
So like I think about that and I'm like from 17 to like 19, 20 years old, I let somebody be in control of my life. And I think about it and I'm like, am I gonna let that person that I met when I was 17 control the rest of my life? No. I just kept telling myself, I was like, there's no way this is it for me. Like there's no way that person was my soulmate. Like I was just, even though my thoughts in my head, I was like, I want to be with this person. I'm upset that I'm not with this person. I realized that I was like, this isn't it for me though. That's not love. That's not how you
Right.
treat somebody. So I just kept telling myself, I was like, you gotta just keep pushing. You gotta just keep pushing. And like
Mhm.
that really is what it is sometimes. Sometimes you just have to tell yourself like the grass is greener on the other side. Like you gotta just push through it.
Yeah. Did you find yourself throughout that relationship like making excuses for that person and their
Yeah.
behavior?
I still do. You can
Yeah.
ask anybody. I still do. Just because I did love that person and like that's what the problem is that I love that person and I gave that person my all, you know?
Mhm.
So just because that person didn't love me back, like I still had love for that person. So like I would defend them. I would always be like, "Oh, well, they had their own trauma," which is true.
Right.
They had their own trauma and it made them a toxic person, which made them toxic to me. But the thing is she made me toxic. Like she was toxic towards me, but I took that and I'm not even close to like that with my current relationship. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
My current relationship is the happiest I've ever been. And I treat her just as respectfully as I would have treated her, the other girl.
Mm.
So it's just the fact that like some people take a bad situation and they turn into a bad person. And that's just what happened with her.
Yeah. That's definitely hard too because you were in high school when you started dating that
Yeah.
person and you have these friends and even teachers around you that could see your
Yeah.
mental health probably diminishing before our eyes, quite literally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
it was sad.
yeah.
It was just like I honestly met her just at I as you know the schools
Mhm.
we got split up because my school closed, and my best friend Mary,
Yep.
and my best friend Krista went to Tollgate. So
Yep.
when I got to Pilgrim, I just felt like I had nobody.
Yeah.
Like I already felt like I had nobody. I already felt alone, and then I had this person who was just such a negative energy in my life that like every day was just not good for me.
Yeah. So definitely like bouncing back from that and being able to have the strength again to get help for yourself. Where are you right now in your mental health journey?
So I would say I'm doing pretty well, honestly.
That's great.
Only because through Butler, I really truly like found myself and felt really comfortable in myself. I've met a lot of amazing people. I still talk to a lot of them. They were awesome. I met trans people, I met non-binary people, and it really just opened my eyes. And that place was actually the first place that I used he, him pronouns.
Wow.
I hadn't used it with anybody. I didn't tell anybody except probably Brittany or maybe a couple of my friends.
Yeah.
But other than that, that was the first place I used it. And like, that is what helped me, through my transition. And now here I am, I'm taking such a big step in my life that honestly right now I'm happier about that. And
Yeah.
that is like what's just getting me through everything.
I love it. And
Yeah.
definitely congrats on finding yourself. It's the best thing to see somebody like really finding who they are and like
Yeah.
genuinely happy.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Because so many times we see, especially on social media, with, people we even went to school with, their life on social media versus in real life is so different. They put on this
Exactly.
face.
Yeah. Because some people say they didn't see it coming. Some people say they did see it coming, but really, you don't know.
You never know.
You never know. You know.
No.
You never know.
Exactly. And kind of going off of your transition, what do you think has been the hardest part about it, and how has that played into your mental health?
So the hardest part about it for me probably is, honestly, it's more internal, like myself, just because I now have this image that everybody around me is like, that's kind of weird. Like, and I don't know why. Like, I think maybe because I'm still a little nervous. Like, I still, even when I go to, like, because I work where I work, I go to like different buildings sometimes. So I meet new people. So when they use the wrong pronouns, honestly, I don't correct them because I don't know how to. Like, I don't know how to. That is the hardest part for me, honestly, is because I'm still so early on that I do get misgendered a lot, obviously. So that's hard, but I can't find it in myself to correct them because I don't know how people are going to react, because you really don't know anymore. Like, some people honestly could be like, oh, that's pronouns, so like,
Right. Yeah.
I know that eventually I kind of need to like stand my ground and be like, all right, like, it's about respect and this is who I am. So that has been the hardest part, is like correcting people and like being confident and strong enough in myself to be like, okay, like shut down people when they're like, they try to question it or anything like that. That's definitely been the hardest part.
Yeah. And you would think it would be easier just, for everyone to agree to just right when you meet somebody, ask their pronouns.
Yes. And
But
I you know what? Like, I said that today. I said, I wish people would ask, honestly,
right.
because like I eventually told the woman I was working with, I was like, I told her, and
Like, hey,
I was like, I don't know how to bring it up without being
yeah.
weird. And she was like, honestly, she's like, when you said Brian, I was a little confused. I didn't know. She's like, but I just didn't know. She's like, I really wasn't trying to be offensive.
Yeah.
She was not trying to be disrespectful at
Yeah.
all. She didn't want to ask, so she just assumed. But I just, honestly, I'd rather her be like, hey, listen, like, I want to be respectful. Like, what are your pronouns?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because sometimes you really don't know. You don't know how anybody could represent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a really great point.
Yeah.
So, what would you give your younger self? What's the advice you would probably give your younger self?
I'd probably tell myself that obviously, I know it sounds like cliche, but it gets better, obviously. Yeah. Because when you're in that position, like when you feel so low, you really feel like you're not going to get out of it. And I say it all the time that it sounds really cheesy, and I always sound corny when I talk about these things, but I genuinely look back at myself and I'm so proud of how far I've come, because I was at a point where I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go to work. I was arguing with everybody because I was so upset every single day. Like, every single day I was like, I just want this to go away. Like, I didn't think this was ever going to go away. And like, now sitting here and being like, oh my God, it went away. Like, I don't feel that anymore. Like, I would love to just give myself that comfort and be like, man, like, you're good. Like, trust me, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I feel like when I ask you that question, I just think about like, what is it? When they make the top 4 and they ask the question, they're like, what would you say to your younger self?
Yeah, you have your baby picture.
Damn, I should have done that. That would have been great.
Brought my baby picture out.
Oh, I should have stalked your mom on Facebook or something. I love it. I'm very sorry about the screaming children upstairs. I have no idea what they're doing, but
oh no, you're good.
Perfect. I love to see it. So I want to know this question because this is huge. Why do you think there's a stigma around therapy and getting help, and what can we do to end it?
Okay, so I have wondered this forever. Because and I know everybody's different. Like, I know everybody has different opinion. Like, I totally get that. But in my eyes, it's so simple. Like, especially myself, like being through therapy and like sitting with my therapist, and it's so normal for anybody to be in therapy. You don't need to feel sad. You don't need to feel like even if you were the happiest you've ever been, you could still sit in therapy and just have someone to just talk to. Like, sometimes that's just good. And I don't really understand, like, I think people who don't believe in like anxiety and depression, I think they think people are using that as like a cop out. They think people are saying, oh, well, I have anxiety, I can't do that. Or like, oh, well, I'm sad today, I can't go out. Well, they think like, you're not, like, get over it, basically. Like, that's how people are. I think it's just kind of like, I think it's like an older generation type of thing where they're kind of like, man up. Like, that's really what it is. It's like, all right, like, you cry and get over it. Like, wipe the dirt off and get up. And like,
Right.
I get that to a point. Like, to a point, I get like, all right, like, stand up, like, you got this, like, push through this. I get that. But some people, it's not like that for everybody.
Exactly.
Like, I really don't understand how we're human beings who are evolving every day. We're meeting so many different people. We're learning so many different things. And you really don't think that there's a possibility that some people could be sad or be anxious?
Yeah.
We're not robots.
Oh, hell no.
No.
Exactly. No, that's very true. And there's also a big difference between like people trying to motivate you, telling you that, you got this. I believe in you. You're strong. And wipe the dirt off your face. It's time to get up, stop faking it type thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, people think you're just faking it. Like, that is really what it is like, and that is like my hardest part about it is that's why a lot of people won't like ask for help, because they don't want to seem like they're like begging for attention almost. Because that was like a big thing growing up. I don't know if you
yes, I was just thinking that.
Anytime anybody was upset, it was like, oh, well, they're begging for attention. Like, they just want attention.
Yep.
Like, some people need the attention. Like, what?
Yes. Mental health was it was like a weird thing when we were especially middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school was a very odd time because, I'm going to put a trigger warning here, but cutting was a big thing.
Yeah, it was.
And it was very sad because, people would look at that and say, that's attention getting. When mental health was at its peak, when you're through that transition of puberty.
Yeah, it's middle school's a tough time for kids, and people they think like, oh, you're too young.
Yes.
But that's not middle school, especially right now. Middle school's getting pretty
with the social media.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. You have to feel. I mean, I have sisters who are in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I think they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but
I
never looked like that in middle school.
Oh
like, they don't have that awkward face anymore. I feel like they have to like live up to all these like expectations. Yep. Like, it's crazy.
It is. I agree. Because I mean, even though we were in middle school, how many years ago? Not that long ago. I feel like what, 7? I don't even know, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, right? Like 8 years ago.
Yeah, like what?
You're old.
For real, we still had those awkward phases. So the moment that friggin' like Instagram and TikTok, Snapchat took over, I feel like it makes their mental health worse in some ways.
Yeah.
So
even at this age, I still don't. Being on social media sometimes ruins my mental health. I'm like, this is sometimes you got to take a break from that.
Yep.
There's so much negativity, not even just towards yourself. You're just seeing so much negativity. It's just like, it's not good for you.
Yes. Agreed. I love it. This next question is a great one. I love it. What's something you're proud of yourself for?
Okay, so this is I feel like this is hard for anybody. It's hard for you to ever say what you're proud of. I guess. But honestly, I'm just proud of this last year. I had a really good job. I worked with kids. I was basically a TA without the title of a TA. But I worked with kids, and like I have a whole wall on and when you first walk in my house, and it's all drawings and notes from my kids.
Oh my God.
I have a whole booklet because my whole class wrote about me and drew a picture for it. And like I look at that and I look back at school and high school, and I always said that all I wanted to do was do something that like means something. And working with kids and seeing not only my kindergartners like be upset to see me go, or like on last day of school give me hugs, my fifth graders were sobbing. They were like sobbing and said they were gonna miss me, and I signed all their yearbooks, so like I see that and I'm like, that's all I ever wanted,
Yeah.
and like I'm proud of myself for getting to that point, because for a while like I wasn't even headed in that direction anymore. Like I was going a whole different route, and like now that I'm here, I'm like, wow, like I am doing what I wanted to do. And like, that's what's most important to me.
Yes. It's funny. I was actually with Audrey and we were looking in our yearbook. And your superlative was most likely to come back and teach at Pilgrim. Yeah. And I was literally laughing and I was like, wow, how accurate.
Yeah. And now I literally work for the schools we attended.
Yeah. Like that's so funny, and how we manifested that, I have no idea.
I don't know.
But we love it. We love it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I was like almost crying when you posted the 2018 thing and in Kimberline's class. Like,
no.
Wow.
I loved it. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, I hate high school.
Yeah, it was great.
I was so upset. Last day of school, we all sobbed. What do you mean?
Those were all the questions I had, but now we have some questions that we got on Instagram from some of my followers and friends. Shout out y'all. Thank you very much for the questions. The first one is, how do you get rid of a toxic family member? This one is very hard for me because I just can't. Like I've had trouble doing that. It's not so much getting rid, it's more like, I know for me, even with my fashion show yesterday, I didn't invite my mom because I don't want her to be around alcohol. That might be hard for her to hear, but it's putting her in a position where she needs to think about, why am I not getting invited to my daughter's events? Oh, it's because I disappointed her. So.
Yeah, honestly, I think that is one of the hardest things to do. It is, because you're like, it's implanted in your head that like you can't, it's like family has to be there. You can't not talk to your family. It's family.
Right. Yep.
Family comes first. You've always learned that. And I'm very big on, I love my family. I have a big family. So like, I love my family. I love my parents. I love my sisters, my brother, everybody, I love them. So I have never had to personally cut off a toxic family member, but I, my girlfriend Brittany, her dad, he's a toxic family member. He is just so not the best. And honestly, the best thing we did was we just distance ourselves. Like we just stayed away. We didn't answer when he texted her. We didn't answer when he called her. And I know that's so hard, but sometimes you just have to leave it and just let it go and just keep just because if they're not going to be good to you or bring any positivity into your life, why do you want them there?
Yes.
So it's hard, and maybe it'll take time. But even just putting that space, putting that boundary, sometimes even just setting boundaries with people and being like, hey, I don't like when you say that, or I don't like when you do that. I'm very uncomfortable by that. Kind of just starting off by saying that and being like, if this doesn't stop, then I have to distance myself because this isn't healthy for me.
Yeah. Boundaries are huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like the older we get, the easier they are to set them.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing is like, you don't realize that because you've been a kid. So then when you get to become an adult, you're like, okay, I can tell people, hey, don't talk to me like that.
Yes, exactly. Because it's a little bit more, they give you a little bit more respect.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a kid, they can just be like, well, I'm an adult, so I'm going to talk to you however I want.
Exactly.
But now I'm like, well, now I'm an adult too. I don't give a fuck how old you are.
Yeah.
Perfect answer. We love it. Thank you
Yep.
for asking that question, whoever that was. Beautiful. Um, what are some tips onto how, wow, English. How are some tips on how to get out of your own head?
Okay, so this is what I learned. So when I went to Butler, I went to Butler for about a week, and when I was in it was like a partial outpatient program. So I wasn't admitted. I didn't stay there overnight. It wasn't any of that. I went and I would go every day from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday, and we would run through different groups, different like theory groups, introduction groups, therapy groups, coping mechanisms. We did so much stuff. It literally basically taught you how to kind of work through your anxieties, work through the things that make you upset. It also taught you to accept those things. Sometimes you can just accept, like self-acceptance. It's not all about just like self-love. I love myself, all this. Sometimes you can just accept and be like, this is who I am and I accept that. So the same, like one of the things we learned is kind of like stepping back. When you're like in your head and you're freaking out about something, sometimes even just sitting in a new environment, if you're freaking out in your bedroom before bed, that was one of my hardest things is I couldn't fall asleep at night because I'd have really bad anxiety. So I would just sit in bed until I would like eventually fall asleep. In therapy in Butler, they explained to us sometimes it's good to get up, go sit on the couch, drink some water, do something, play a video game, watch a little bit of a show, and then go back to bed, then go back and sit down. You got to like pull yourself out of certain situations sometimes and like literally reset your body, almost kind of take a second, just breathe and go back to what you were doing.
That's amazing advice.
Yeah.
Very, very amazing advice. We love it. So the next one, so he asked, I was reading an article on LinkedIn about people getting pandemic brain. That's where they sit down to do a task and their mind basically goes blank, called a fog of forgetting, largely due to stress mounting over a long period of time. That's from all the coffee I drank today. Sorry. My question is, how would you suggest combating this problem, especially for busy students who rely on their memory for their studies? Wow, that's a beautifully asked question.
Yeah, it is. Especially because we're all going through that. Like
Yeah.
we all, and I'm trust me, I'm the same way. I let things pile up to the last minute.
Yep.
So like I get that. And with school, you really do. You just gotta push through it. And I think everybody agrees, school sometimes is really tough. It's really stressful.
Yeah.
And I think it's not talked about enough in
Yes.
school. Sometimes mental health. Here we go, full circle. Mental health is really important to talk about in schools. School is so stressful. But like I said on the last question, taking a step back and just breathing. And it sounds like so simple. And I didn't even realize it when we talked about it in Butler. I was like, oh, like, no, like, whatever. You think like, no, like, I'm never going to actually just step back and like, deep breaths.
Yeah.
When you really do that, you can feel yourself kind of calm down, and you can calm down and make a checklist. That's always, always, always so smart, is to sit down and make a checklist so you're not as stressed out. I need to get this done, but not even a long 20 point checklist. You don't need that. Even if you want to start with the bare minimum, that's just one step to get something done. That's where we overthink. We look at the big picture and we think, oh my God, look at this pile of stuff that I have to get done, instead of being like, okay, let me just start here. And like, that's where you can kind of calm yourself down. You can calm yourself down when you're kind of like, I'm going to do one thing at a time.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell myself I need to get all of this done right this second.
Yeah.
You're kind of going to be like, all right, one thing at a time, and just breathe through it. Take breaks. Like, you don't need to power through that in one go.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah.
Again, something that you don't think about, because I feel like in high school, we just learn to just deal with it and just get through it as fast as we can, not put out our best work. It's more like quantity of time over quality of work.
Yeah.
So that's definitely important. So everybody better have been writing that down.
Yeah, no. It needs to be talked about more. It really does.
Yep. And again, whole point of this podcast, because
we don't, it's such, I don't even know what the word is, but it's just such a topic that people think that you can't talk about it.
Absolutely.
They think it's like awkward, and I'm
Yep.
like,
It's necessary.
it is that. I mean, as soon as I left Butler and was like in a better mindset, I immediately came to social media and
Yeah.
posted about it.
Yeah.
Not even like in a,
Like, oh, I just did this. Look at what I just did. This way.
Yeah. It was more of like it's okay to ask for help. Like, nobody even knew. Like, there were so many people that commented on that status, and they were like, I had no idea that you felt that way.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, you don't know what people are going through, like, every day. And the thing is no, I think what people need to understand too is like, no problem is like too small. And that's the thing, is a lot of people try to tell you like, oh, it's not a big deal, people have it worse off.
Yeah.
And I would even tell myself that. I would even say, am I really this upset over a girl? Like, that I would beat myself up about it. And I'd be like, this is so stupid that you're upset over a girl. Like, but that's not it. Like, it's not like that. And people need to understand it's okay to be upset, and it's okay to have those feelings. Like, that you are validated in feeling that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important. Wow. Absolutely. We are on to our last question.
Sweet.
Wow. That went by way too fast. Okay. What is a challenge you've had, and how did you overcome it?
So I think my biggest problem throughout all of this, and honestly, even to this like current day, was I would still reach out to the person that hurt me. I would still reach out, and I would still see how they were doing, or update them on my life. And like, that's because that person for those 3 years was my best friend. That was my number one phone call. That was when something good happened, something bad happened. No matter how she was towards me, I still treated her like she was my best friend.
Right.
So sometimes letting go of that and looking at it as like, okay, well, you got to understand how this person treated you. That was really hard. But I think honestly, when I went through Butler, when I met Brittany, my girlfriend, my awesome, amazing girlfriend, when I met Brittany, I really saw what, I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, I saw how you're supposed to be loved.
Yes.
Like, and being with someone who loved me and treated me how I was supposed to be treated, and I loved her just the same. I look back on that and I'm like, I never, ever, ever, ever want to step foot back into that, because I'm not going to settle for somebody when I have somebody right now who does everything for me, who, it is my world, like, so I'm not gonna, that was really hard for me. And it was really hard for me, honestly, until I met Brittany. And because it's hard to get out of that mindset. Even if someone's so awful to you, it's so hard for yourself to be like, let go of that person. They were kind of mean to you.
Yeah. Like,
but
Ike.
Yeah, but we, you all push through it. It honestly, time heals everything. And that is the worst part about it. Sometimes people are like, I can't wait that long. And I'm like, it flies by though.
Yeah.
It flies by.
Now you're old.
Me and Brittany have been together 2 years. I can't even.
That's crazy.
I can't even believe it.
Wow. Oh my God. What the hell? We just graduated yesterday. What are we talking about?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, time flies by. It flies by, and I was 17 when this all started. I'm 21 now, and I am becoming the best version of myself.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I love it. Oh my gosh, thank you for answering my questions today. You're the absolute best. I appreciate your time and energy and vulnerability.
Best podcast ever. Everybody, take a listen.
Thank you. You're gonna have to come on for the third time. Third time's the charm.
Third time. 30 more episodes. I'll be back on, everybody.
30 more. Yep.
The 65th episode, I'll be here.
Love it. I will write it down right now. Don't tempt me.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. Not only is this not going to be the last time we will see Bryan, but it's not going to be the last time we see Enchanted Earthlings as well. I cannot wait for an exciting announcement soon, so get ready, buckle up, get your debit cards ready, okay? And yeah, that was today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed it, like I said, and I hope you all really took something away from it. We are all going through this really rough time. COVID, is still having its effects on everyone, and really make sure that you take Bryan's advice and really sit with it and evaluate your current mental health situation. That way you can grow from it. And of course, we will be here for you as usual next week as well, to help you grow into your potential. If you want to follow us on our podcast journey, all the social medias are at the Adult Algorithm, except for Twitter, it's adult_algorithm. This is Jasmine with the Adult Algorithm signing off. Bye.